Greetings, salutations, and welcome to DCR Rails. Today I want to talk a little bit about planning. As you know, I don't have a layout yet. I'm working on putting it together. And so I want to work on planning the garage layout. And the garage layout, as I'm looking at it, there's things that I must have, things that'd be nice to have, and things that I don't want to have at all. And my must-haves in this garage layout is, first of all, I need a continuous run, and that means the loop. And I hesitate on that, but I need the loop because the grandkids love to watch the trains run. You just turn it loose and away they go. And I myself enjoy watching them run. So you get the train put together and you can turn it loose on the layout and just let it go until you're going to throw the turnout to send it to its final destination or whatever it is that you need to do. So a continuous run is something that would be nice to have. And if possible, I'd like to have two trains running simultaneously. Again, it's a small layout, and I don't know if I can do that or not, but we'll take a look at that. I'd also like to have a yard with an arrival departure track. A lot of times I see the yards on the plans and things I've been looking at where you come into it and then go back out of it. So I need a arrival departure track, which might be able to double as a runaround depending on which way things are going. So those are the things that I'd like to have. And I'd like to have in that yard 3 to 4 different classification tracks. So those are the things that I'd like to have on the layout. A continuous run, 2 trains, arrival, departure, and classifications. The other things that are must-have is passenger service. I've got some passenger cars I got as a kid, and I'd like to be able to pull those out and run them. I already mentioned the runaround. Then I need a reason for things to be there instead of, well, this is nice and there it is. They need a reason. So I'm trying to plan the layout for having things there and a logical reason for them to be there. And then I have a 484 locomotive, and so I need wide radius so I can run that locomotive with those passenger cars. So that kind of puts a size a little bigger than maybe I'd like to do, but on the other hand, I'd love to see that locomotive and those passenger cars run. Now, those are the must-have. What'd be nice to have is reversing loop. With those wide curves, I might be able to pull off that. I'd like several different industries in several different locations, and the countryside. So I'd like to, instead of it all being urban or all being remote, I'd like to get a mix or find a way to make that work. Because I've got that steam engine and I like some of the steam engines, I'd like to have a roundhouse and a turntable. I don't know if the space will allow that, but that's something to look at. And then bridges and tunnels would be nice. Different layers and levels and such, so I'd have to deal with grades. This is rather ambitious. I built a layout as a kid. It was on a 8x4 board. It had an outer oval with an inner figure 8, and they were always derailing and that wasn't even with bridges or grades to turn out. But I've done things over the years, so my skill level may be someplace where I could attempt that. Now, the things that I'm going to avoid is the bowl, where I got things high on the outside and lower on the inside, so you're looking like you have a bowl. I really don't want to do that. And I don't want a whole lot of things on it. I think less is more. But the scenes, if I'm having a logical reason for it there, I think we could probably build the diorama to make things look interesting. So I'll have to be very careful on what I select to have and then make it look really good and like it belongs there to give an overall look. So that's what I'm looking at for this garage layout. Now, there are some things that it won't have. It's not going to be one era or one railroad line. And, well, it's my railroad. I'm freelancing. I haven't decided. I've got a bunch of engines and cabooses from different lines that I had as a kid. And because I haven't, I want to run them. So at first, it's just going to be a hodgepodge. But as I get working on this, then I might be able to hone it down and zero in on something that would work. It's not DCC. All I've got is old stuff from the 70s, so the equipment isn't compatible for DCC, which is probably just as well to start off with. Maybe as I get better into this thing and I can find people and talk to people and that, I might be able to expand out on that. But for right now, it's just basically what I have. And I'd like to build a shelf layout around the wall, but the garage is such where I've got cabinets and deep freezes and things, so I don't have that. So I'm going to have to settle on the island layout. And I know it takes up as much space as if you had it around the wall, but I just don't have the wall space. So I'm going to have to build an island and put it on wheels so I can roll it around in the garage to make room for other projects and things. So it's not a dedicated train room, so it's going to have to share. So these are some of the compromises I have to put up with. So that's what I'm looking at doing, because there's always compromises when you build these things. You have the wish list, and when you're in the planning stage, you can imagine this railroad empire that is just huge, and you dream up all these different things you're going to do. But then once you start putting down the bench work and building the bench work, and you start laying the track and you start making decisions, then some things that you had in the dream layout just aren't going to work, and so you start cutting things down. So it's a matter of what works and that. So I really believe that if I have a good plan to start off with and work through it and try to think through all the different angles in that, I can have a reliable running layout that will be enjoyable for years to come, because it's going to take quite a while to build the thing. So it is a garage layout. It is going to be mobile. It is going to be an island. That's just what I have to face and work with. So I want to go out now to the Workbench and look at some of the things that I've been planning and thinking about. So we'll go out to the Workbench and discuss a little bit more of what we're planning on doing with this layout. So here's the Workbench, and I have been doing a little bit of research with how to do bench work, and I went to the library and I got some books out of the library on different things about track planning and compact layout design. And I had been working on one layout here, trying to put together what it might work. And I have a layout that I worked on, or I found years ago. I made a photocopy of it, but I don't think I have enough room to build this particular layout. And then I've been looking at other track plans and things, and I came across this one, which I thought was a really neat layout. So I copied it and put on kind of a grid paper to see if I could put another loop around it. And then I pulled out my grandfather's scale and got my straight edge and compass and pencil, and I kind of laid it out this way. And I think it might be doable on about 5.5 feet wide by 11 foot. So there's my scale down there to try to figure out if I could make this thing work. What I like about it is I've got 2 tracks. This one just loop around, and this other one goes around twice around. And then right up here it has a reversing loop, which I kind of like. I've got a yard down here, and that'll be really good to have that yard. I've got the roundhouse, if I so desire. I can make this, I can run this into here, and I have a arrival departure track for the outer loop. And then that frees me up. If I make this arrival departure, then I can free up this line here for the engines to come out of the engine house and down, and we can do the switching and such. And then I've got various industries that I can go to, and I've got both facing and trailing spurs, so I can run trains both directions and lay that out. And someone pointed out that, you know, if you flatten the circle out, you'd have a yard, you'd have the yard in the middle, and you'd have some of these spurs way down here, and these other spurs would be way down here on the line, and then you can run around the loop several times to do the distance. So that would be a good idea for the layout. So that's what the brain's been doing. And so I got the bench work that I got to read, and I've been looking at layout designs and realistic operations and such. So I've been trying to do the homework, and I think I settled on a track plan that will work. So we'll have to look a little closer at this, and when I lay out get the bench work built, lay things down and see how it looks three-dimensionally. At least on paper, I'm happy with it. And again, I ran across this on Pinterest, and this was done in the 60s, about 62, 63, 61, 60, somewhere in there. And so, yeah, it's an old style layout, but it was a narrow gauge, and it's got a foundry and a coal mine. We've got the engine facilities. We have the station and freight. And then over here, we got the trestle textile plant. Then we got a coal trestle to dump the coal that came from over here from the mine. And then there's a sawmill right here. You know, you've got the pond and everything to go with it. So we've got the water with a nice lake. So there's some things that we can do there. And then there's a road that goes between the sawmill and the foundry and down to the train station and the textile plant. And then we've got the water tower and the yard and that. And then with what I was thinking on my blueprint here, if I stretch this out, I might have some room to put the house between the outer loop and then the inner loops and be able to put a roundhouse in there. And if I come down here, I can run the track off the board, same as over to here. I'm thinking I want to put a cattle there because I have freight cars for cattle cars, stock cars, if you will. And I thought that would be an interesting point to collect cattle there. And then one of these industries could become a meat processing plant. And then that would give reefer cars and box cars and cattle cars to go in there, as well as tank cars and coal cars and such for cooking and processing the meat. Or maybe not cooking, I'm thinking sausage factory. I apologize. So then there's the bridges and the water, as we were looking at over here. We've got the water features and the bridges, and we've got the elevation changes. And this was an 8-foot board, so in the middle of it I got 8, and then I've got room on either end of it to put the outer loop, as I was thinking. And so just some thoughts on paper on what to do with the thing. So yeah, I split it out, and the furniture factory, the textile plant may become a meat processing plant. I haven't decided, because right there's a freight house and the train station. I thought I'd put another station out here for the passenger train to have some stops on. And then the cattle might either be a spur off of this thing, or I may have a siding come up around here. Let me get the pencil. Have a siding come up from around here, put another siding in here, and then put the cattle on this side on this outer circle. But this I'm thinking of doing like a 31-inch radius on this, so I can have the big steam engines and the passenger cars run. And then if I can get these to be about a 22, that's a 21-inch radius, I might have to keep it there. But if I can bump this out to a 22-inch radius and have these over here be at least 22, 20, then I can get the steam engine on that. But I may have to go with the smaller diesel engines to run in on the inside. But I can at least run the passenger train on the outside and have pickup in that. And then if the passenger train can take these curves, then I can have the passenger train stop here. And then of course it would make another loop around. And then come down out here and then around and then stop at this station here before going off the pike, off the board to other destinations. And so I can bring trains from here or here on the branch lines coming in to service this. So that's the thought. And as you can see, there's a tunnel here. So there's the mountain feature with the coal, and it's got 2 tracks. And then I drew in another track here. The plan originally just had one here. I've added the double so I can bring things in and bring the empties here and pull the full and then back up and drop the empties and then take the full out and then run it off out here. This one I didn't put the double thing because we got the road and the lake and that. I'm not sure how it would work, but that's the joy of running this thing. And then I've got a switch coming from my outer loop into here. And then, like I said, over here is the receiving and departure track that'll run right here. So that's the idea that I've got going. So there's the plan. I've got a plan. Now the next time we get together, hopefully I will have the bench work done. So until next time, keep chugging along and enjoy your railroads.